OMG, you guys. Y'all know I had to come talk to my peoples, okay? So I this morning I had no clue this was going to happen today, right? When I watched the live that Mila had hopped on with Gorgeous Doll yesterday, it was last said that she was going to need to talk to her attorneys, and then it will be determined from there what can be released and what cannot, right? And so I just decided to come talk about it this morning because I just did not like the portrayal in the media, especially looking at it against how so vigorously people defend defendants, namely men, when they are found guilty, right? And so I felt like we need to give her, in the name of that, right, the same benefit of the doubt, right? And so there is something she revealed. She released some text messages, you guys. I posted Tisa Tao and D. Jesse Wu. I posted both of their channels because both of them have presented the text messages that she released today. I don't know how much more are going to roll out. I don't know if this is going to happen through the night, through the Mother's Day weekend, through the end of May, maybe for the rest of the year. I don't know, right? I don't know how much we're going to get. But there is something that was clearly misrepresented. There is some evidence that was clearly misrepresented during the presentation of the defense's case, okay, out of these messages. So the defense, before I go there, I want to clarify something. So when they questioned her, because it must have been, when I was listening in on the trial, y'all know I'm working. So sometimes I might have like hopped on a meeting. I might still have it running and then come back in. So apparently there was some confirmation that she did come back to the house, but after she left Shaw's house. But there was no confirmation, right, that she had stayed overnight or was there overnight or anything like that. And I think that might be the thing that Stefan's defense was shocked about. His defense, when they questioned Mila, they asked her about the fact that she came back to the house on the ninth, and she said yes to get my money. That's the reason she came there. So I don't know if they knew that she was there as long as she was, and that didn't get revealed until Shaw's testimony. But it seemed like they were a little bit shocked that she would have still been there when Shaw showed up at the house to braid Stefan's hair somewhere around like the 13th and the 15th. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was Shaw's testimony. But I will go back and listen to that now that I heard that. So now that I cleared that part up, right? Now I want to go to what the text message that was misrepresented by the defense. And I don't know why at this point, I don't know why the prosecution were not allowed to use some of the other text messages that she now is presenting, because it would have seemed like that the defense opened a door by making this suggestion. And Angie, if you are listening, please go live and tell me all about this, right? Because it would seem like to me, see, I know there are times that the prosecution is often told if you open the door, then they can go down the line of questioning. Well, I would think that should work on the other way too. If the defense is going down a particular line of questioning, and particularly when they're misrepresenting some text messages, and then there is some messages that could clear up the misconception, I would think that the prosecution would be able to use those messages in order to clarify what was going on. So the defense insinuated while cross-examining Mila that she knew she was being fired on the second. That she knew she was being fired. And they used the text message when Stefan says to her that it's unfortunate that this is happening. I wish you all the best of luck. And basically made it seem like that he was letting her know right at that moment that her services were no longer needed, right? And this is what sparks her to say, like, oh, yeah, well, you're going to pay me. You got to pay me my money. And then we talked about you helping me with my business. I'm going to need that money, too. I'm going to need you to run me that, too, right? And so at this time, it was no concern over no discrepancies over receipts. Was she sending bad receipts? Was she taking more money? None of that was a discrepancy at the time. None of that was a concern at the time. Stefan, there are messages where Stefan is saying, I love you. I don't want you to go. He's saying this beforehand. He's saying this after those messages. So he was like, I never meant for it to come to this. There is conversation about the fact that he had to put, so there was a bigger dispute than just Art Basel. There was a huge dispute going on between the two of them. Because not only was she upset about the fact that she wasn't able to go to Art Basel, but Stefan was upset thinking that she was leaking information to the media. And this is part of the reason why I believe he had a change of heart about her going to Art Basel, but Lindsay was a major piece about her not going to Art Basel, because the leak was that it was, Amila was accused of telling one of Stefan's other baby mamas, KG, that he was sleeping with Lindsay. And either KG was either on her way to the house, and this is all while Cardi is about to give birth, right? On the cusp of Cardi giving birth. So either KG was at the house already, or I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure whether she was already there. What makes it sound like she was already there, because they have an argument over the fact that Mila was in the kitchen and that Stefan told her to go upstairs, and they were arguing about what he instructed her to do so that her and KG didn't cross paths, because there was something about it being leaked to the media about him, KG having got kicked out of the house at some point, and also leaking to the media that KG had a child. And apparently that wasn't something that was revealed. And her and Stefan are arguing over the fact that there was a leak about twins, not about the fact that she had a boy. And so this is why Stefan is thinking Mila leaked this information. And Mila is like, I didn't leak that information. I didn't tell that. And so then there was information about Stefan supposedly being in a intimate relationship with Lindsay. That information went to KG. And so this caused some tension with Lindsay and KG. I mean, with Lindsay and Mila, and then with Lindsay and KG. And so this is what X'd her out of being able to attend Art Basel. And Stefan was attending Art Basel with, it was either Lindsay or KG, because one of them, I think, okay, so this is the thing. I think that Lindsay holds some shares in the company, or they have some kind of, financially they are connected with Stefan's furniture company, right? And because they are connected with the furniture company, Lindsay needed to attend Art Basel. And then in addition to that, KG was a brand ambassador for the furniture company. So KG needed to attend. So Stefan is saying to Mila, listen, I didn't think you want to go on a trip with a whole bunch of people who you are don't like, that you're in a whole bunch of tension with right now. So that's why I said, like, because of the situation, he was like, he was trying to kind of say to her, like, I guess initially he was accusing her. I guess he was accusing her of being the one to leak. But then eventually, he had one of them Jarvis butts tantrums where he was going on calling all kinds of bitches and getting mad and all of this stuff. But then he comes back around, because now he's telling her, I love you and I'm not asking you to leave. And if you feel like you need to leave, then that's fine. And it's nothing I can do about this, but I don't know why you're treating me this way. And this is Stefan talking. This is what is not allowed to be discussed in court. And I can see some reasons maybe why it wasn't allowed initially. But once the defense tried to take the one text and make it seem like that he was firing her, and this is why she was angry, and this is what she was trying to get across, that they were misrepresented. And I think this is why she had kind of got angry on the stand and started making outbursts, because she probably knew I'm about to lose based off of how they are doing this. So I'm going to try to get out what I can. I'm going to just try to say what I can. And it looked bad. It looked absolutely bad. But I think that was the whole point in her trying to just having these outbursts and just saying anything. I think she knew that based off of what they were not going to allow, based on the conversation that she must have had with the prosecutors prior to going in the courtroom, she must have known that there were certain things they were not going to allow. But I would think think that once the defense was able to present a message that they presented it in a way that was not truthful, right? And it opened a door that should have allowed some additional evidence in. Shouldn't the prosecution been able to use some of those other messages to show she was not being fired? She was not. Stefan was essentially giving her the option on whether she decided to stay or not. But what he did say was, listen, I'm not going to pay you and another cook. Like, I mean, you know, like, I'm not giving you the money and another cook. So, you know, that's fine. If you're going to leave, if you're not going to stay, this is your choice. I guess I don't have nothing I can say. It's sad that you're treating me this way. He is acting like he is heartbroken that she's treating him like that. He's telling her, I love you. Nobody can ever make me stop effing who I'm effing. Or messing, I don't know if he said effing, but messing with who I'm messing with, basically effing who I'm effing, right? And so he says all of this, and I would think that once the defense presented that message and they were being untruthful in the way in which they were presenting it, that it should have been some way for those other messages that she had to corroborate her, to rehabilitate her, at least in that area, as a witness, in order to let it be known she was not being fired. The defense is absolutely fabricating this. She was not being fired. She was choosing to leave the circus. That is what the choice was. He was merely responding to the fact that he didn't want to have to pay her and another cook. But she had every opportunity to stay there and continue the job. That was not the hostility. The hostility, and she does say to him, like she said on the stand, she does say to him, you are too blind to realize that you got these girls in here in a competition with you. I'm not in a competition with none of them. They all are in love with you. I'm not. She does tell him that. In the messages, at least in the messages she presented, she mentions it from the stand, and they stopped her from being able to go forward. So it was nothing that they were doing to try to dispute the fact that her messages were reliable, at least. They might not have been relatable until she opened the door, until they opened the door. I felt like they opened the door by presenting the text messages that were allowed in a manner that was not truthful. See what I mean, y'all? Court of public opinion. Sometimes you just gotta wait. It's a whole lot more going on, y'all, but I wanted to come and talk to y'all just briefly, just to say that was a misrepresentation. That, now I don't know all of what else she's saying was a misrepresentation. She does have some messages back and forth with her and Shah, the hair braider. And it seems as though there was some kind of letter or something that Shah was asked to pass based on these messages, the text messages. There was some kind of letter or something that Shah was asked to pass to Mila, okay? Mila then comes back with responses by text messages that she cannot be bought. And maybe that is the reason she came up with that astronomical 5.5 million number. I don't know, because maybe she knew they wouldn't want, they're not going to pay that. Who knows? But she is saying that in the messages back to Shah, she is saying she cannot be bought. She will not be silenced. There is no amount of money that is going to make her retract her statement. And when Mila is mentioning all of this stuff about the passing of this letter, Shah does not want to, Shah calls Mila. She calls her after Mila is texting this stuff, because she probably didn't want to commit whatever it was that she was about to say to text. But what Shah does start to do is she starts to make a whole bunch of excuses and justifications when she does text back to say that, oh, I didn't take it that he meant it in that kind of way. And I didn't, and like making all of these kinds of excuses, right? So there is some cause to be concerned about how we saw the information be presented in the court and what Mila has. And at this point, I don't think Mila is going to release some fake messages, because I know that's what some people are going to try to suggest. In court, she was trying to mention these messages. If the messages were fake, That would have been a prime opportunity for the defense to shoot her credibility again. But instead, she was stopped from being able to discuss these messages in further detail. So that lends to me the credibility of the messages that were there. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. The other thing is Cardi B, and she came out and gave a statement in support of the hair braider, Shy. And she was basically talking about how good of a friend that Shy has been to her, that how great Shy has been with her children, that Shy is actually, it appears, because people, I guess, thought that Shy knew Stefan first, but it appears that Shy has been braiding Cardi's hair and then Culture's hair. Cardi since 2019 and Culture since 2020. And of course, you know, Wave, he has braids, so she does Wave's hair as well. And I'm pretty sure that at whatever point Blossom gets old enough to do that, she plans on letting Shy take over that for her as well, right? But Cardi came out and made a statement and talked about how wonderful of a person and wonderful of a contribution that Shy has been to her life, and that she was asking Bardi Gang to not crash down on Shy so hard, and she doesn't believe that Shy would do something like Mila suggested. She would not name Mila. She would not name Mila. But also what she did not do was she did not bash Mila, right? She said that she knows that Mila was saying what she was saying from the stand, some of the things, because she wanted to direct it towards Cardi. And the way that I think the soft tone in which Cardi used, because we all know how Cardi can be. So either it's growth on her part, that her tone was soft, or there is something about what transpired that is not allowing her to become so outraged, right? So we can either say it's growth or that there's something that she's not becoming so outraged about, right? But she is saying that she knows that Mila was doing that to try to get her attention. She knows that she did it because it was directed towards her. What she said about Shy. There has been no denial by Shy that she had any sexual interaction with Stefan. Shy made a statement, and she talked about her resume, and then she discussed how hurtful it was, the allegations, but she said she wasn't going to dignify it with a response. And then because Shy has been receiving some attacks from Bardi Gang, I guess, because of this allegation, Cardi came out and made a statement on the behalf of Shy. She, however, made it clear that she don't have nothing to do with whatever that other mess is going on. She makes a statement to insinuate that whatever that other mess that was going on, she can't speak on that. She wanted to be clear. She was coming to speak on Shy. That's it. And so Cardi believes that Shy did not do anything inappropriate with Steph. Right now, Mila hasn't shown anything to confirm that Shy had anything personal going on with Steph. But what Mila did show was that some kind of way, there was some kind of letter that Shy was involved in giving to Mila from Steph. And based on that, there was a text exchange that led to a voice call from Shy. And then Shy trying to mansplain what she thought that Steph meant, and that she wasn't taking it the way that Jamila was interpreting it. Right? And so, I don't know, y'all. Court of public opinion. Court of public opinion don't require that we follow rules of evidence. Hey, Tiz. Hey, Boo. I was just updating everybody about these new... Did you see the new messages that were released by Mila? Tisa read them, but you said I need to catch up on this hair braider. Yeah, only thing the hair braider came on and said was that she went down her line, her resume. She was upset because her business can be impacted, right? Her business can be impacted by the statement that was made. And apparently she's been receiving some backlash by Cardi fans. And so she came and made a statement, but she did not say, no, I never slept with Stefan Diggs. What she said was she was not going to dignify the statement with a response, right? This is what she said. That's what the hair braider said. Cardi came and made a statement. The statement that she made was on the behalf of the hair braider because Cardi has a relationship with the hair braider that supersedes the relationship she had with Stefon Diggs. And she talked about how Shy is a really good friend to her. That Shy is a really good friend to her mom. That Shy is like a part of the family, right? And so she came to speak on Shy's behalf. But when Cardi said this, she said, whatever that other stuff going on, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And so she never came on to defend Stefon Diggs. She never came on to say that the things that were being said were a lie, that none of it was true. She never said that none of the allegations that Mila made about Stefon were a lie. She never denied that. You said, yup, the hair braid, and right, yeah. So Cardi came on to speak on behalf of Shy, not to clear up anything that Mila said on the stand with Stefon Diggs. But Mila has dropped the receipts to put in context that no, she was not being fired like the defense tried to present. No, she wasn't upset and mad and pissed because she thought she was being fired by Stefon Diggs. It was quite the opposite. He didn't understand why she wanted to leave. He asked her, why are you doing me like this? I don't know why you're treating me like this. But the purpose of the message when he says, I'm not going to pay you and another cook, is not because the implication is that he's firing her. It is because she is saying she is leaving the circus because of all of the stuff that was going on. She was pissed with him for the fact that he was believing that she went to media, that she went to the blogs and told the blogs about KJ's pregnancy, and then told the blogs about KJ getting put out of the house, and then somehow got a message. He was accusing her of getting some kind of message to KJ that he was involved in a sexual relationship with Lindsay. And as a result of the tension between Mila and Lindsay, and then between KJ and Lindsay, two people who had to attend Art Basel because they had a business connection for attending, and they were going there for a business event. Despite the fact that allegedly all of them was fucking them, but that wasn't the only reason they was attending the event, because KJ is the brand ambassador for Stefon's furniture line, and Lindsay is, I think, part owner in the furniture line, and so they needed to attend for business reasons. And so he comes back to explain to Mila, listen, I didn't think you want to go on a trip with people who you are having a dispute with, who people you probably don't even want to be around right now. This he starts to explain to her. He tells her he loves her. He tells her that it is nothing that now one of them, each other, can do in order to stop him from dealing sexually intimately with the other one. This is what he says in these messages. And so I want to know, I am curious to know for somebody to explain to me, because we know about when someone opens the door, right? You said, he just be laying it low. Exactly. Just a hoe. Just like how they want to try to call women a hoe. Just a hoe. Okay? So, and telling them he love them too. He love them all. He likes some other ones. Some of them other ones out here too. He love them all, baby. He like, hey, purple. He loves them all, okay? So, listen. I don't understand that why, when after the cross-examination, when the prosecution had an opportunity to go back, that they could not then use those text messages. I can understand the judge saying they were inadmissible in the beginning because they were trying to stick to the facts, but once the defense used those messages to present a false depiction on what on the situation, why couldn't the messages be used in order to rehabilitate her, at least to the point to say, no, she was not being fired, like they insinuated? No, there was no allegations on her that she was submitting false receipts and sending duplicate receipts and sending them receipts for stuff that she hadn't even paid for. None of that was an issue. He did not want her to leave. He was not firing her. He asked her, I don't know why you're treating me like this. That is not something that a employer says to the employee. Yeah, exactly. Way worse than Offset. Way worse than Offset tears. But that's not, you don't, the employer doesn't send a message to the employee and they had such a professional relationship and say, I don't know why you're treating me this way. They ain't gonna say that. And once the employer the employee tells the employer, look, I'm leaving, I'm quitting. If you're a good employee, the employer might try to get you to stay, right? They might try to see, what can I do? What is it that I can offer to get you to stay, right? But then once it gets to the point where you calling me a pussy and you saying and I'm threatening, I'm telling you to call my bluff about paying you the money, right? And I tell you go get somebody to make me pay the money and show me I'm pussy, and then you say bet, right? That's all bets is off. It ain't no employer around that's gonna keep the person on. This is not an employee. She had a 4.5-year relationship with Stefan Diggs before becoming his cook. She didn't start working as a quote unquote cook for him until June of 2025. But she had a 4.5-year relationship. And you can tell by the way that they are talking back and forth to one another that they are really familiar with one another. Because she ain't scared to say nothing to him. They are going back and forth in that message. She does start, she gonna beat somebody's ass in the messages. Now she is letting it all out. I don't know whose ass she said she was gonna beat. I don't know if it was KG. I don't know if it was Lindsay or somebody else, because I think it was another name mentioned. But she did say she was gonna beat somebody's ass. She's letting it out now. She ain't deleting this now. This ain't no deleted messages. She's letting it be known. Okay, if I'm gonna tell it, I'm gonna tell it all. You said he had that lady all in Cardi's face, shaking my head. Sonya ass, right? He said sorry ass. I thought you were saying Sonya like Nestor. Girl, you said well, all the ladies, exactly, all the ladies was in Cardi face, all of them. And so the whole dispute and what they was trying to not let come out to the public is that it wasn't just about the Art Basel. The argument was just not over Art Basel. It was because the reason she couldn't attend Art Basel, the reason why Stefan thought it wouldn't be a good idea for her to attend any longer, is because there was a dispute on people. It was a dispute, and Lindsay and KG were accusing Mila of leaking stuff to the media. You said the D can't listen. Exactly. And I think Mila, in so many words, like told him that, cause she let it not be known. Like she told him. She said, "You so stupid that you don't realize you got all of these women in here competing for you." So basically, I guess trying to say, why do you think they not gonna throw me under the bus? Why do you think they not gonna throw me under the bus and try to make it look like I said something? So then that knocks me out of the ranks. She was like, I'm not even trying to compete. She was like, I'm not even worried about giving you no ass. I'm not even trying to compete to give you ass. They need to worry about that with each other. So this is all the conversation that is happening prior to those isolated messages that they allowed to come into evidence. So my question is how come when the defense presented this, misrepresented this piece of evidence, that the other messages were not allowed to be used? And now I know what Mila was suggesting when she was talking to Gorgeous Doll on the live last night. I think it was last night. Mila was suggesting that there might have been some dispute over whether the prosecution got evidence in on time. So I think there was some kind of dispute on whether or not those additional text messages between Stefan and Mila had gotten entered into evidence on time in order for them to be used. There is something that Gorgeous Doll says when she's explaining, because Mila wasn't talking. Mila was just on the phone with Gorgeous Doll. She said hello to everyone to show that, yes, it's me, I'm here, right? But Gorgeous Doll was doing the talking because she had sent the receipts to Gorgeous Doll. And so they implied on the live that something about the evidence not being submitted timely. And so I'm wondering, was it these messages? Was it these additional messages? And is that why they were not able to use those messages in order to rehabilitate her as a witness? Because the defense definitely opened the door by making the suggestion that by the messages that were admissible, that she knew she was being fired. That is the wrong representation based on what Mila has presented now to social media. And this is the thing. She was trying to say it on the stand. So she did not mind saying it under penalty of perjury. They kept stopping her. They kept stopping her because it wasn't entered into evidence. And for what? Why? What was the reason why it wasn't entered into evidence? Whose fault was it that it wasn't entered into evidence? Y'all see what I'm saying? Court of public opinion. What do you think? That's my whole point I was making this morning in the live. See what I'm saying? When you say that the state and the government does things in order to try to rig a case on the behalf of the victims because they are targeting this high-profile individual, well, the pendulum can swing the other way. And now we need to question, why wasn't this evidence admitted? So that at least there could have been another sidebar, another conversation for what the defense was attempting to misrepresent and present to the jury in relation to why she was so angry. So suggesting that this is part of why she comes up with this lie. And now that I know about that level of dishonesty, I already told y'all I felt like that there were things both of them was lying about. And I'll let y'all know the things I felt like that Mila had lied about and why. And then possibly, how the altercation could have occurred in a way that maybe it wasn't the aggression of Stefan Diggs, but they just got into a back and forth, because based off of the way the two of them was going back and forth in the text that have been revealed now, I'm almost certain that, yes, we really don't know who was the aggressor. Who, because both of them was seem like they was heated with one another. Both of them seemed like they were pissed off with one another. And so we don't know if it happened the way that Mila said, because Mila has given us some reason to question her credibility. But we can't believe it. We definitely can't believe it happened the way Stefan said it, especially now knowing that the messages that were admissible were misrepresented in court. Like that's a major deal. To suggest that she's so angry that she's gonna come up with this whole lie because she knew that she was being fired, that's not what was happening. And that's probably one of the main reasons why she was okay to be back at that house when it came time for her to leave Shy's house in New York after everybody came back from Art Basel. That is one of the reasons why she was able to return there, because she wasn't fired. She was gonna quit. He was saying to her, like, nobody's gonna make me not be with anyone else. There's nothing that anybody can say, because according to the way that the messages were flowing between the two of them, when Mila is trying to say to him, like, you don't, like, let's look at them. They are, you don't think they're gonna blame me? Look at them. They don't like me. Look at them. They're gonna blame me and say I'm the one who did it. And she says to him, I've been around you for 4.5 years and haven't leaked shit. And now all of a sudden you think I'm leaking something to the media? Like, to me, this is important. These messages, I want to know what some more of the messages are outside of this time frame, but these messages were important. They important at least when I'm trying to make a decision in the court of public opinion about what do I think. And so now I'm curious because I did watch all the testimony. I'm not one of them ones that just came out here and started talking about this and didn't watch the testimony, right? And it's just so focused on the not guilty and all of the stuff around it and not really examining the testimony. So since I watched the testimony, I am able to say that the defense misled and gave a wrong representation of what those messages implied. And I want to know at that point, what was the reason that the messages that would support what she was saying took place were not allowed in? And if they were submitted as evidence in a timely way, then wouldn't it have been something that the prosecution could have done, like I said, to have a sidebar, have the jury leave and have them have an argument over whether or not now at this point those messages can be admitted because of the defense opening the door and misrepresenting the messages that were admissible? That's my question. I told y'all this morning I knew I was on to something when I said let's be fair. Let's be fair. Let's look at everything. And this is an exercise in showing you how these celebrities get off with all of these little ass things, with all of these little nuances, all of these little things that help them along the way. So then when the big shit crashed down, don't be mad. We don't want to see nobody crying. Because y'all cheered them on getting away with all this little ass bullshit. So when it culminates to something big, because see, this is a thing. This is a concern. If he sent Shy, who was a witness for him now, who turned into being a witness for him, he sent Shy in with a letter that was handed to him. I mean, he sent Shy with a letter from him with Mila to Mila. And in the text messages, Mila is saying, I cannot be bought. Well, what do you think the fuck the letter said? If she is texting Shy and saying, I can't be bought, no amount of money, I can't be bought. And maybe, like I said, when that 5.5 million came out, maybe that was sarcastic. Maybe that was her saying, yeah, give me 5.5 million and maybe I won't do it. But she made it clear in the messages to Shy that she cannot be bought. That he's not going to make her look like a liar. This is what her messages are saying to Shy. Shy is refusing. After passing this note or letter on the behalf of Stefan to Mila, Shy did not want, she calls Mila. She doesn't respond to Mila's messages. And that's because she doesn't want it committed to text. On phone, you can tell if someone is recording you. So if she gets on the phone, depending on where they are, it's always all of these conversations about two-party states. At least if you get it, you're gonna have to let her know. You're gonna have to say something. So, and now most of these phones will tell you if you're being recorded, right? So she would know when she picked up the phone if a recording initiated. So it was better for her to have, and this is the thing, Mila was trusting her. And why Mila trusted her, I don't know. Ain't no friends in this game. She should have seen how this was going. She should have already seen after she was being accused by them women of leaking stuff to the media on KG, and Lindsay. She should have known. She should have known not to trust any of them. But she trusted Shy. And so she proceeds to answer the phone and have that a voice conversation with her instead of sticking to the text messages where she can then use them. But apparently that didn't even work. That didn't even work because she had some text messages to combat something that was falsely presented in court by the defense. And she wasn't able to use that. Whose fault was that? I happen to think that based off of what was said in Gorgeous Dolls Live, that might have something to do with, like was suggested, the evidence being submitted on time. Maybe the judge would have said, no, you can't use that. You can't use it, right? Not just to come right off the bat and use it. But like we've seen many times, but if either side opens the door, well, if the other side opens the door, then it can be used. And to me, opening the door is suggesting that based on the messages that were admissible, you are trying to imply and present a falsehood that she was fired, and she knew she was fired, and that's why she was mad. And this is why she went and did all of the things that she did. That is what should have allowed those messages to be in order to give proper context to say, no, Stefan, firing was far from Stefan's mind. There are some that if they had seen those other messages could have interpreted it to mean, or interpreted to say, especially after seeing Stefan, Professor, I love you. None of them is going to make me stop dealing with nobody that I'm dealing with. Right? He says this. This is his proclamations by text, committed to text. So, if seeing that, the jury would have said, well, wait a minute. She wasn't being fired. Why is the defense suggesting that he fired her and these messages are saying something different? But guess what? The defense ain't get a chance to see that, y'all. Why? Here we go again. Another question about the text messages and why the jury wasn't able to see some text messages. Y'all, I done just got here to my mama house. I gotta go over here and pick up something. I just wanted to come to y'all real quick and talk to y'all about that. Go watch Tisa and go watch Jessie Woo. I'm not telling you to watch either of them to say that everything that they are saying is facts. I just want y'all to go over there and listen to the messages, right? That's it. Some of the things they say I agree with, some of the things I don't, but they have the messages because I was trying to see if I could find them, but I've been running errands, so I wasn't. But as soon as I get stationary, I will try to see if I can locate the messages and put them on a community board so you can just look at the messages for yourself to read. But right now, if you are interested in knowing what the messages are saying, you can go over to Jessie Woo. She is reading the message, and you can go over to Tisa's video, and you can listen to and follow along the messages being read. Listen, you guys, if I don't come back and talk to you guys again, happy Mother's Day. And I will talk to you guys soon. If not this weekend, probably on Monday. Y'all have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. Peace.